Volunteer Program Associate with Mountains to Sound Greenway Trust. I'm also an AmeriCorps member with the Washington Service Corps, like Val, who you've seen in the last couple of videos. As an AmeriCorps member, I'm able to help the Greenway Trust by going out onto public lands, bringing volunteers out to restore native ecosystems and build trails. Anyway, I hope you were able to make some interesting observations about the wind in your sit spots. Did you notice any patterns? Well, today we're going to be talking about another part of laws, water. How does water connect to other parts of an ecosystem? Why would organisms in an ecosystem care about water? Well, all life on our planet needs water to live. Animals drink it, plants suck it up through their roots, some organisms even bring it into their bodies by absorbing it directly into their cells. In many ways, our ecosystems and even our planet is defined by water. In an ecosystem, the amount and type of water determines what organisms can live there. Think about a lake versus a desert, or a rainforest versus a meadow. They're totally different, right? Different plants, animals, colors. That's largely because water is present in different amounts in different ways. And if water is salty, like the ocean, we find an entirely different set of organisms too. For many organisms, water is habitat, or a place to live. Think about fish like salmon, or crustaceans like crabs, insects, many single-celled organisms, maybe plants and algae, amphibians like frogs and salamanders. All those critters live in the water, and they need water as a place to live. And the animals who eat those organisms, like bears eating salmon, or birds eating crabs, or even sea otters, right? Without water, they wouldn't have any food. So one really cool thing about water on Earth is that most of it, on average, is really old. Like hundreds of millions or even billions of years old. The water that you drank today was probably also drank by a dinosaur a long time ago. But in between the time that the dinosaur drank it and when it came out of your sink, that water has changed forms, and changed forms a lot. Think of all the forms water can take. Lakes, ponds, rivers, streams, oceans, puddles, other bodies of water in and on the ground. In the sky, you've got clouds, and you've also got mist and fog. Of course, you have rain, snow, sleet, and hail falling from the sky. Every molecule of water in the world travels through these forms in something we call the water cycle. The water cycle describes how water transitions from one form to another as it moves around the world. Let's start with some water in a puddle on the ground. Slowly, that puddle will dry up. Where did the water go? Some of it soaked into the soil to become groundwater, a process called infiltration. Depending on where you live, you might get your drinking water from the ground through a well. Okay, back to the puddle. Some of it entered the air in a process we call evaporation, which is driven in part by heat from the sun. Evaporation is when liquid water turns into water vapor, or the gaseous form of water. Have you ever put a little water in a cup and let it sit for a while? When you come back a few days later, much or even all of it is gone. It evaporated into the air. It seems like magic. Liquid water just disappears before our eyes. So where does all that evaporated water go? Eventually, it might rise high into the atmosphere, where it's much colder. And when it cools, it turns back into liquid in a process called condensation. When enough water droplets condense in the same area, we get clouds. And then what comes from clouds? The water falls right back down again, right? Well, eventually, so much water condenses in a cloud that it can't fight gravity any longer, and it falls to the earth as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. We call this process, when water falls from the sky, precipitation. That precipitation falls to the earth, landing in lakes, streams, ponds, rivers, swamps, deserts, mountains, meadows, forests, cities, and probably at some point a puddle, right back where it started. No matter the form, many organisms need clean water to live in or use. How do you think we can be good stewards of water? Well, one big way is to be very careful about what goes down the drains in your home or gets flushed down the toilet. Anything that goes down the drain has to be dealt with at a water treatment plant, and some of it could end up in the Puget Sound, the Columbia River, or your local lake, polluting that water. The only things that should go down the toilet are the 4 P's. You got pee, poop, puke, and paper. Toilet paper, that is. I also make sure to pick up trash to make sure it won't end up in the water near where I live. So next time you see a piece of trash on the ground, pick it up, throw it in the garbage, and say thank you to the water that keeps us and so many other organisms alive. For our activity this week, we're going to make ourselves a mini water cycle. All you need is a resealable plastic bag, a marker, some water, and some tape. Put your bag on a table with the Ziploc top on top. Toward the top of the bag, draw the sun. Then just below that, draw some clouds. At the bottom, you can draw some waves, like the surface of a lake or ocean, like this. Then, put a couple of inches of water in the bottom of the bag. Seal it tight, and hold it upside down over the sink for a minute to make sure none leaks out. If it does, reseal the bag and test it again until you have a good seal. Then, hold your bag right side up and tape the top of it to a window. I think the best way to do this is to find a window that gets a lot of light and has a sill or maybe a little table underneath to prop up the bottom of the bag. Check back on your bag a few times a day. You should see water moving around in your bag like it moves around in the world we live in. What do you see? Email your observations to education@mtsgreenway.org and we might share them on our Facebook page. And don't forget to check out our next video where we'll talk about the last of the laws, soil. All right, I'll see you later.